Hello, friends and family from around the world. This is Mike with Daily Events Worldwide, and we are on February 20th, 2025. Welcome to another surviving day on the planet. Welcome to the Daily Dew, giving you your space weather update, earthquakes, volcanoes, and world weather. Always starting out here looking at amazing images of our sun the last 48 hours. A little bit of increased activity, but when it comes to plasma filaments, and as well coming in, cresting into view, coronal holes yet again. Looking at the last 48 hours incoming, you can see the plasma filaments dancing there straight off the surface of the sun, and then a couple taking off from the backside of the sun. Lots of activity turning into view right now. No major coronal mass ejections to report. Looking at outgoing here, lots of plasma activity, filaments, prominence, whatever you want to call them. They are dancing all across the equator of our sun right now. Pointing out the last 48 hours of events, amazing images, multi-spectrum, and as well look at our magnetic field as it is acting up during this incoming coronal hole. Purple being the incoming and the teal being outgoing coronal hole regions. Cresting into view, active sunspot regions as well. Looking at 131 angstroms here. No major solar flares to report. Staying in the C-class range. But there's been some backside activity. We'll have to see what kind of sunspot regions are going to be turning around next. And here's a look at our sunspot regions now in motion. As we have 4 Earth-facing sunspots right now. 3993 is a massive one, as well as some sizable groupings in the bottom there. 3998, 3996 is particularly primed, ready to go. Looking at the current space weather conditions, there are none to report. Solar winds are coming in at 390 kilometers per second, slightly above average. But the coronal hole wind stream is pretty much done until the next one, which is cresting into view, showing the X-ray flux. Strong C-class solar flare. Other than that, not much to report. Geomagnetic activity way down at a KP1. Looking at Alaska 2, showing the last 48 hours of cosmic energies leaving our sun. We did just have Mercury passing through these images on the backside in the wide spectrum that was visible. If you aren't receiving daily updates, please don't forget to subscribe and set to all. Now let's have a look at earthquakes the past 24 hours. 230 according to USGS across the world. Deepest being here, a 571 kilometer depth Fiji earthquake, as well 547 kilometer depth. And the largest last 24 hours of 5.6 here, Haihai-Fo, Tonga. That's a pretty sizable magnitude for the region. Heads up, everybody. Our planet is a rockin' right now. Even Indonesia, northern Indonesia, into the Indian plate. Somalia plate into the Antarctic. Interesting plumes that are just coming out of the Eurasian plate, as you'll see in the air quality forecast coming up. Japan, seeing some rockers as well. 4.2 Greece. Things are starting to quiet down through the region. Over 3,800 earthquakes reported at Santorini and northeast into Colombo. This is a look at the last 24 hours for earthquakes around the world. 5.4 there, Nazca Plate, all of a sudden quiet through the Cocos. And as well, a rare earthquake here, Grand Cache, Canada, with a 4.7 earthquake. That's right, Alberta, rocking a 4.7 magnitude. That's the largest earthquake that they've seen here in the last at least 6 weeks or so, if not the last 3 months. I had talked yesterday about the seismicity that was increasing through Hawaii. Gave a small warning, and boom, there is our 10th eruption Last night I was showing these infrared images of the summit caldera. As things were starting to heat up, magma was coming to the surface yet again, and it erupted in effusive fashion with a huge towering fountain of lava, probably 100 feet tall, at least 10 stories tall, completely covering the caldera. We have an active and erupting 76 volcanoes across the planet, and there have been none awakened in the last 24 hours. This is a glance at the last 7 days for earthquakes around the world. The deep earthquakes, which are the elevated rings around the world, are really starting to pile up. We have not seen large earthquakes since the 7.6. Jamaica, Cayman Islands, rare earthquake there, Alberta. And of course, all this activity through the Mediterranean and up into Italy, where there's about a dozen volcanoes very active through the regions. This is a look at the last 7 days. All these earthquakes here, the deep ones, are triangulating right above the Australian plate. Heads up, watch for a large earthquake over the next 24 hours. This is yet another earthquake warning. Much love, everybody. Hashtag no fear here, just aware and prepared. Having a look now at the air quality forecast overlooking the Pacific Ocean. As you can see, heavy particulates coming out of Kamchatka and as well the Aleutian Islands. Overlooking Australia in the southern hemisphere, notable that large plume that came out and onto this forecast yesterday. Not sure what erupted, but the Heard volcano has been active as it awakened about a year ago. Overlooking Africa and, of course, Europe, Central America, South America, African Rift, and up into Eurasia. Something's going to give during this magnetic reversal. Heads up. Now, world weather, massive systems, and a lot of moisture heading into the west coast this week. Watch for flood watches all through the west coast, as well a strong system that's going to be heading towards Iceland in the Atlantic. Look at the size of that low. Waves of moisture pounding into Ireland. And then watch for an interesting low coming out of the Gulf as it heads quickly north into the Atlantic and heads for Greenland. And then a pretty strong system rakes up the eastern seaboard, United States, and the Atlantic provinces, till finally a high-pressure ridge builds on the west coast, but not before letting out another few Alberta clippers. And then look at the middle of the Atlantic here, moisture funneling up from the equator, 2 high-pressure ridges right beside each other with an intense low-pressure system northward. Some very warm air and moisture is funneling straight up into the North Pole right now and will be associated with all those systems affecting Europe over the next few days. High pressure won't build in until this second week. And then watch for eastern Canada, big blizzard conditions in the long range, and as well more systems heading towards Alaska. Still lingering low-pressure systems around Madagascar and as well northern Australia. It's not until the long range that these low-pressure systems leave Madagascar and Zimbabwe. Watch for intense weather to build through Sri Lanka, in India in the long range, and as well New Zealand. Much love, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. Stay aware and prepared. Stay young and have fun, and get your daily dew. Bye-bye now.